Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible.
So this is Tori coming from the floor of H&H Americas. You're about to hear 5 different interviews with different industry professionals at H&H, where we're going to be doing a rapid fire question and answer session with each industry professional. And they're going to give you not only the rapid fire question answers, but also some great advice for attending a show like H&H. So buckle up and get ready to hear some amazing industry professionals. We're here with Monica from Penny Spool Quilts, and we're going to be doing a rapid fire question and answer session. But first, I would love for you to introduce yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and pass you the mic and let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Monica from Penny Spool Quilts. I'm based near Ottawa, Canada, and I'm a quilt pattern designer and aspiring workshop teacher.
Thank you. So my first rapid fire question for you is, what color do you struggle to include in your quilts?
Green and brown. Green often gets included in rainbow patterns, but I don't know what to do with brown.
So do you prefer yardage or precuts?
That depends if quarters are considered yardage or precuts. I like those, and generally yardage though.
Mm-hmm. And then what is your favorite notion?
Probably my ruler and rotary cutter. I don't have a lot of notions. I prefer to keep things minimal.
Mm-hmm.
So probably those two.
My next question for you is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
Being able to do something creative and passing that creativity on to other people and like sparking their own creativity and joy to make stuff.
That's a beautiful answer. So, quick question. I know you don't have a booth. So the next question is, how many quilts are in the booth with you right now, but you're walking the floor? So what I'd love to ask you is, what booths caught your eye while you were walking the floor?
I love most of the fabric companies just because they had awesome looking quilts, and especially like the rainbow ones.
Rainbow does stand out. I think the one that always caught my eye when I walked past was Sassafras Lane. And my next question, I almost said last, but my next question is, what piece of advice would you give someone going to a show like H&H?
Don't be shy and wear good shoes.
Definitely good shoes. We did a lot of walking. And lastly, who is inspiring you right now?
The whole show really was super inspiring. One part that I really enjoyed was the cosplay competition. It was awesome to see what the craftsmanship going into these costumes and the creativity and the ideas and all that.
That's a great answer. I would not have expected that. So thank you so much for being a part of our question answer rapid fire session for the podcast. I would like to wrap this up by asking you to share where people can find you and learn more about you.
You can find me on Instagram at Penny Spool Quilts or on my website at pennyspoolquilts.com.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
This is Tori here from the floor of H&H Americas. I'm here with Annie, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So Annie, will you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Annie of Patterns by Annie and byannie.com. And I am mostly a pattern designer. I write patterns for purses and bags and organizational items. And then we sell all the supplies you need to make them other than fabric. We couldn't possibly carry all the fabrics there are, so we send you to your local quilt shop, actually for everything, but especially for the fabric. I developed a product called Soft and Stable that we use in our projects, and it just gives great body and stability to your projects.
Thank you, Annie. So we're going to go into our rapid fire questions, and these are really easy. Just think of what comes to mind first. First one is, what color do you struggle to include in your bags?
Oh boy, I love every single color there is. I would maybe say black, because black is hard to sew when it's late at night. It's hard to see where the edges are and sew that, but black adds such a nice pop of color. So we are non-colored, but such a nice contrast to things. So we use it when it's called for, but it's a color we don't use very often just because of that, I think.
That's interesting. Thank you. So the next question is, do you prefer yardage or precuts?
I would say definitely yardage. We usually, when we get fabric from fabric companies, we ask for 2 yards. And I have a long armor who quilts most of the fabrics for our projects, and I will make combinations of main and lining and a coordinate that goes with it. I'll send the main and lining 2-yard piece to our long arm quilter, and it comes back to us all ready to go for projects. We have a pattern called Ultimate Travel Bag. That's a really popular one. It calls for 1.5 yards of quilted fabric, but if I have a 2-yard piece, all I have to do is turn one pocket sideways and I can get 2 bags out of that. Quilting a big piece like that makes it really efficient. Or I can make an ultimate travel bag and a travel essential and a set of ditty bags and have a whole coordinated ensemble. So I also try to pick a lining that might look good as the exterior of a bag, and then I can switch them and turn them around and get 2 different looks out of one piece of fabric. So
it's great advice. So our next question is, what is your favorite notion?
That's super easy. I developed a stiletto and pressing tool called Andi's Stiletto and Pressing Tool that is in my hand all the time when I'm sewing. When I get to my sewing room, I have a wool pin cushion that sits next to my machine, and I put 6 of them in it because it's always in my hand. All of a sudden, I have none left because one's at the computer, one's at the ironing board, one's at the cutting table, one's across the room. And so then I go gather them all and bring them back. But it has a sand ground tip. We send them to a needle making factory who does that for us. And it really hugs your fabric. I think the secret to the bindings that we put on projects, making beautiful bindings, is having that stiletto, because I can position the fabric exactly where I want it. I can pull it into position. The stiletto's not slipping off. My hand's not getting tired. It's a really lightweight tool. And we flattened the sides so it's not rolling off my table as I'm working. And it's just the best.
Nice. That sounds like an amazing tool. Our next question is, how many bags are in the booth with you? And you could do rough estimates.
I would guess is over 100. I know that we had to pare it down because we have limited space, so we only brought 30 patterns. But our newest 4 patterns, we brought at least 6 models of each, and we've made over 2,000 models. And so it's always hard trying to figure out which ones to take. But I would say at least 100 here.
Oh, and they are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Next question is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
I think the most rewarding part is seeing people have success with their projects and seeing people have great fun sewing our things. We have a great basics program where we have 4 free downloadable patterns that people can go to our website and find for simple projects that take just a few hours or an afternoon to make. And as you make those 4 projects, you learn all of our basic techniques. So you can then proceed to any by any pattern. They're called By Any Basics. If you go to our website and just do a search for that, it's actually a course in our learning center. You'll go there and register for that course, join the course, and then you'll be able to download the PDFs, watch add-on videos that go step by step from beginning to end through every step, plus simple things like how do you rotary cut, how do you layer your pieces for quilting. And it's so exciting for me to see people who've never made a bag before make those and then go on to make any bag that's in our repertoire. So that's very fun for me.
That is great how you set that up. That's perfect. So next question is, what piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H America?
Get some rest before you come, wear good shoes, and come ready to be just have your mind blown and to make connections. That is the fun part for me, is meeting all these friends that I've known from before and meeting new friends too, and seeing all the new things, and then schedule some time when you get home to just cogitate over everything you've seen and play and take advantage of some of the new skills and new products that you found.
That is great advice. Thank you, Annie. Last question for you is, who is inspiring you right now? And they don't have to be in the quilting universe.
I'm at the point where I want to incorporate more patchwork into my projects. And so I've been visiting a fair amount with Gudrun at GE Designs. Gudrun and I taught in Norway last year, and she sent me home with some of her rulers and her smaller patterns. And I'm really excited to try some of those blocks and incorporate those into some of our bigger bags, like travel duffel and get out of town, creating a quilted piece that I can then make it. So that's the one thing that when I get home, I'm really excited to try.
Awesome. Annie, it's been amazing talking to you. I would love for you to share how people can get a hold of you or follow you wherever you'd like them to go.
Probably the best place to go first is our website, which is just www.byannie.com. And we're on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube at Patterns by Annie. And we have a great YouTube channel. We do a weekly live with Annie. That's on Facebook, but we also put it on YouTube and Instagram and our website. We've got all of our 3 previous seasons and this year's episodes on there. And join us. We'll do a live every week at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And then, of course, we save them on there so you can watch them after the fact too. But we interview people, we share techniques, we do little mini trunk shows. It's just a whole lot of fun, and we hope you'll come join us.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. It was really fun to see you and to talk to you too.
Tori here with the Quilting on the Side podcast on the floor of H&H America, and I am sitting here with Kate. So Kate, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your business and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Colleran, and my business name is prosaic. Yes, it is Kate Colleran Designs. I'm a quilt pattern designer, a fabric designer with Island Batik, and I'm just starting to delve into a little cross stitch as well. I've done a lot of teaching at some national shows. I've got classes on Craftsy and Quilting Daily. I've done a lot of magazine work, so I've done a little bit of everything. It's been fun.
Great. So we're going to do our rapid fire questions. So our first question is, what color do you struggle with including in your quilts?
Oh, that's a good question. The first thing that came to mind was brown. I love nature, but brown is just not my friend.
And our next question is yardage or precuts. Which one do you prefer, yardage or precuts?
Oh, that's a really fun question because I work primarily right now with Yardage, but I love Precuts. Love, love, love them. As a matter of fact, my first book with C&T Publishing was called Smash Your Precut Stash. And it's so funny because we included fat quarters in it. And some people say to me, fat quarters aren't precut. I'm like, they come precut into a fat quarter for me. So they're a precut. And they're my favorite thing. You buy them and they're in those little bundles with the ribbon on top. How do you resist, right?
I like that justification for calling it a precut. I think we've had that question before. Is black color considered a precut? You made a good argument.
Yes, yes. And I get that shop owners don't get that.
Yeah.
They have to cut it.
Yeah.
But I don't.
And then our next question is, what is your favorite notion?
My favorite notion. Oh my gosh, that's really tough. But you know what? You can't tell on a podcast, but I am an older quilter. So for me, the favorite notion is a rotary cutter. It has just made it so much easier to cut our fabrics. And I do remember cutting with scissors. So I think that's my favorite notion.
Great. Okay. And our next question is, how many quilts, and I know we took a step away from the booth because it was really busy, but if you can remember, how many quilts are in the booth with you?
Of mine? Okay, so how many quilts? I brought all small things because I'm in a booth where I just have a small grid walk. So I'm with multiple designers. So I have, let's see, I have my little square quilt. I've got a table runner. So that's two. I've got a placemat. Does that count? That's three. I have, oh wait, I've got some bags. Do they count? Uh-huh. So that's four. And I've got two pillows. So I guess six. There you go.
Great. And then our next question is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
Oh, wow. The most rewarding part is probably when I teach a class and somebody turns to me and says, I never thought about doing it that way before. This works for me. I'm the kind of teacher, when I teach a class, I like to teach them one way to do something, but I always tell them if there's a better way that you like, that's okay too. But sometimes it's great because they've been taught one way to do something and you open them up to seeing some other way to do it that suddenly makes sense for them. And I think that's probably the most rewarding part is helping somebody else figure out a good way to make a quilt.
Love that answer. Our last, is it last? Let me see. Oh, we got two more.
Two more.
Two.
Okay.
So what piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H Americas?
I think it depends on if you're an exhibitor or an attendee, but either way, I think knowing what you want to get out of the show. It's really easy to start walking around or talking to other people, and suddenly you have FOMO, right? You have fear of missing out because they're doing this and they're doing that. But just remember, every business is different. Know what you want to get out of it. Who do you want to meet, and what's going to be important for you to talk to, or who to talk to, I should say, or what's important for you to see, what connection to make to move your business forward. And don't worry about everything else. And then just enjoy seeing all the things that are here so you can get inspired and come up with your next idea.
That is a great, great answer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Our last one here is, okay, who is inspiring you right now?
When you mentioned this one, I was really struggling with it. But my last three fabric lines with Island Batik have all been inspired by the Denver Botanic Garden. I absolutely love walking around there. So I had a line come out that was called Wing Things that was inspired by the Botanic Garden in the spring. And then I had another line, Breezy, that was inspired by the Botanic Garden in the fall. And my next line that's coming out soon is called Misty Mornings, and it was inspired by the Botanic Garden in the winter, which most people don't think about going to a garden in the winter, but it's amazing what colors and what things you can see. So I guess that's my place.
That's beautiful. I'll have to look that up. Thank you for talking to me today. Before we stop our interview, I would love for you to share where others can reach you and get a hold of you and follow you.
All right. If you want to check me out, it's really easy because everything, my website, Instagram, and Facebook are all just Kate Colleran Designs. So it's katecollerandesigns.com or Kate Colleran Designs on Instagram and Facebook. And I'd love for you to follow me.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you, Tori. Bye.
So Tori here on the floor at H&H Americas. I'm here again with Heather. So hello, Heather. I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself and tell us a little about you and your business.
Thanks so much for having me, Tori. I am Heather Valentine from the Sewing Loft, and I design patterns. And I actually just had my first fabric collection with Wyndham release.
That's exciting. We're going to do our rapid fire questions. So our first one is, what color do you struggle with including in your quilts?
That's a tough one. I really love a lot of the brighter colors. So I would say brown is harder for me to fit in, especially when I am using a lot of brighter pinks and purples, things of that nature.
Interesting. It is interesting. We're finding a theme today on darker colors, black and brown. I think are the two that have come up so far. So that's really interesting. So next question is, do you prefer yardage or precuts?
So I love to work small, but I would definitely say that I like yardage. I love to starch it first so that it's so much easier to slice it up into small little bits and stitch it back together.
That's a great piece of advice. What is your favorite notion?
Ooh, that's really hard. Honestly, I love anything that makes me look like a rock star when I'm sewing. But the cutting table is actually my least favorite part of the quilting journey. So anything that can speed up that process. And lately, I am really using the stripology ruler. I know that it's a more expensive piece of equipment, However, I think that it's worth its weight in gold because it gets me past the cutting table and quickly to the sewing machine.
That's a great answer. Now, I know we walked away from your roots to find a quiet spot. Can you remember or give a ballpark number of how many quilts are in your booth?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I'm one of 10 designers in the creative retailer space. And wow, I would say in my personal space, there are 9 minis that are hanging. And yeah, 9 minis that are hanging. And I would say probably everyone else has at least 3 to 5 on top of that. So if I had to give a guess, there's probably 40 plus little pieces of amazing eye candy for anyone to come by and visit and see.
That's great. And then my next question for you is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
Oh, that is an easy one for me. So I love it when people show me their makes and their fabric selections from my patterns. I think that gives me like the greatest thrill and joy, especially when someone comes to me and says, I never knew that I could do this, or you made it look so easy. That really makes me smile and hits home to my heart.
Well, that's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
And what piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H Americas?
Well, the first thing I would say is pack comfortable shoes and layers. Depending on the show itself, it allows you to bring a roller bag. I would say that that would be top on my list. And always bring an extra snack.
That is great advice. I wish I would have a roller bag. Next question and last question. Okay. Who is inspiring you right now?
I think these days there's so much inspiration that's all around, and I tend not to look at other quilters or artists. Instead, I like to look in my backyard. And these days, I'm loving graffiti. I have always been a big fan of the raw art. I just love watching the trains go by and seeing all the different colors of the tags that are on there. And I feel like you can find trends in them, and then they slowly work their way to home decor and our market as well. If I had to pick one area, it would be like raw street art.
I love that. I love it. Okay. So that is it for our rapid fire. I would love for you to share how people can get a hold of you, follow you, and stay in touch with you.
Okay. Perfect. You can find me on Instagram at the Sewing Loft, or pretty much anywhere at the Sewing Loft. If you love scraps and are interested, I have a pretty active Facebook group. It's called a Scrappy Girls Club, and we talk all things scrap. I share easy patterns, quick tips, and all that jazz in there. So I'd love for you to come join me.
Thank you, Heather, for talking to me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Tori. This was super fun.
I'm Tori here at H&H Americas, and I'm standing here with Stephanie. So Stephanie, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your business.
I'm Stephanie Thiessen from Precuts Sewing Co. and I make sewing kits and patterns I say for beginners, but it's really for anybody who likes an easy, like 1 to 2 hour project. You can just sit down and start and finish something and have that sort of success.
You teach.
And I teach. Every pattern has a video that goes with it. So I am teaching you in person, but you can do it at 10 o'clock at night in your pajamas.
I love that. 10 o'clock at night in your pajamas. Okay, so we're going to do our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So our first one is, what color do you struggle with including in your projects?
I would probably say neutrals. I really go for bright colors. I use navy and pink, which are my logo colors. It's probably everything. Probably every kit there's somewhere. So I probably struggle a little bit more with neutrals.
All right. Our second question is, do you prefer yardage or precuts?
I prefer, if I have to pick.
Go.
If I had to pick, I would pick precuts. I like being able to get a little variety.
Yes. Excellent. And then what is your favorite notion?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would probably say my wool pressing mat. It's the one I use the most all day, every day. So, yeah.
Is it a large one?
I have a large one. Yes, it can fit. I fold a lot of back quarters, so it can fit a back quarter.
It's good to know. And then how many bags or projects do you have in your booth?
I think it's about 17 or 18 different projects, and bags, I think it's about 8.
And they are beautiful. Oh, they are beautiful. Next question is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
I think it's helping beginners. I only learned to sew later in life, so I remember what it was like to be a beginner and to feel intimidated walking into a shop. So I think it's helping people, whether they find me online or through one of the quilt shops that are here at this trade show, that we can simplify sewing and make it really easy and approachable for them.
Awesome. That's a beautiful answer. And then our next question is, what piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H Americas?
I think just to network, to talk to everybody. You never know. It was just in line at Starbucks this morning that I ended up talking to somebody that I need to follow up with, that I really wanted to meet. So it's going to class. It's just doing everything, walking around, going to classes, going to all the networking events, because it's really about meeting people and the connections that you take with, and then following up.
Yes, follow up is a big point.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. And then lastly, what or who is inspiring you right now?
So I would say it's my kids, because my girls, I think because I sew and I do this and I teach a lot of people in my local town how to sew, my kids are uninterested in it, and they're tired of these projects. So I always try to think of, I work with them to say, okay, what would you want to sew? What would motivate? What kind of kit, project, pattern would you want to sew? Do you need a Chromebook cover, or what do you need that you would want to sew? So I use them as my inspiration.
Oh, that is beautiful. Stephanie, thank you for talking to me today. I would love for you to share where people can follow up with you, where they can find you.
The best place is PrecutsSewingCo.com, and then you can search for Precuts Sewing Co. on any of the socials.
All right, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much.
So this is Tori here on the floor at H&H Americas, and I am here with Dara. I almost said Dara.
I know.
Dara. Okay. And I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Dara Thomason. I live on Vancouver Island up in Canada, and it is beautiful there. I have my studio and my family. And basically what I do is I'm a professional quilter turned weight and life coach. So I help quilters mostly, or creatives, or anyone else who really resonate with what I'm talking about, get to the root of why they keep feeling overwhelmed, why they keep gaining weight, or why they keep saying yes when they really want to say no, or why they keep like quitting on themselves when they're working on a project. So I really help with the mindset to help you to become who you really want to be.
That's amazing. So we're going to go ahead and do our rapid fire questions since I bring them up. So one question is, what color do you struggle with including in your quilts?
Oh, okay. So it's so funny that you asked that, because I was looking at some fabric swatches over at the Moda booth, and I love green and white and blue. But I also really love yellow and green. So I tend never to use purple.
Oh.
And sometimes I use browns because they are beautiful, but I tend never to really use purple, and lime green, not so much.
Okay, great. And then do you prefer yardage or precuts?
Okay, so I'm definitely a yardage girl because I'm 6 feet tall. I like everything big. So yes, that's where I roll.
I love that. And then what is your favorite notion?
Okay, I am the free motion quilting liberator. So I love me a rotary cutter and a ruler. I'm actually not much of a piecer anymore because I just love the quilting part. So could I say, and like my needle and thread in my long arm? Yeah, that's really what I love the most.
I love that. And then your next question is, how many quilts are in your booth right now?
So good. All right. So I have 3 quilts in my booth. 2 are one from each book. And then I've made a really fun Liberate quilt. And this quilt is really fun. If you go to my website or probably my Instagram, you'll see it. I just basically just had so much fun drawing. Another thing I do, you have to come and check out my Instagram, but I got 2 drop cloths from the dollar store, and I just taped them on my floor like I would baste a quilt. And I just got 4 markers. It was about 4 markers worth. And I just quilted like crazy and it was so much fun. And then I have some smaller projects also at my booth. I love how you decorated this, and you've got such fun sayings like quilters, not quitters, and creativity takes courage. The next question is, what is the most rewarding part of your business? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm probably gonna cry, but I have a lifetime membership for women to help them really with their mindset. And when they learn those things, they have all these different before and afters. In fact, I'm redoing my sales page and I'm gonna have before and after. So one of the ladies, she joined just before Christmas and they are having their 45th wedding anniversary. And they booked a trip to Dominican Republic and she put on her bathing suit and I actually didn't throw up. And I think she has lost about 30 pounds since then. But it's so funny because the weight, even though it's like the physical weight, it's the way she thinks about herself and the way that she talks about herself and the way that she does things. And then recently she went, it was the eclipse. And her husband's like, let's drive 2.5 hours and go and watch it at this really good place. And in the past, she would never do anything like that because she would be afraid or worried. And now she does fun things like that. So when I think about what my clients are doing and the trips that they're going on, the adventures, the ability. Oh, one of my friends, her sister passed away and she's babysitting her grand niece. And she was able to do that for 2 weeks because she's 70 pounds lighter. And she wouldn't have been able to do that before. She would not have been able to carry a baby downstairs. And I just think it's so amazing to me. And even little wins like being able to say no. And we always do celebrations at the beginning of every call. And I just love it because we don't have to feel stuck anymore. Yes, that's beautiful. I think I use that word a lot, but that is wonderful. And then our next question is, what piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H Americas? All right, I love that question. So I always, like when I used to be a long arm quilter for hire, I always said to them, what is the purpose of this quilt? And so establishing right off the bat, what is the purpose? Do we want to spend 40 hours quilting this? Or is it like, this is for your grandson's big boy bed? Right? Like, do we really need to spend 40 hours quilting? No. So I would say a show like this, get really clear beforehand, know what you're really wanting, and then make sure that's your North Star. So I would definitely recommend, what do I want to get? What is my purpose? And then work towards creating that. And keep reminding yourself that, because I mean, this place, lots of distractions. All right, thank you. And then last question is, who is inspiring you right now? So I'm doing a menopause class. And for all of you listeners, if you want to get it for free, you can register and use the coupon code CHANGE. And so I have gone through a bunch of different quotes from Meryl Streep and Brene Brown and all these women about menopause. And I am really inspired by my future self because I think, like right now, I'm 50, but at 80 and at 90, I want to be so glad that I lifted some weights every once in a while and that I didn't eat all the sugar and flours and that I really got a hold of my buffering. Like I think about my third act and I want that to be the best of all. And I've loved my life so far. But so I'm I know it sounds strange to say that, but I'm inspired by my future self. And she loves it, right? She wants me to keep doing this. So when I get discouraged, so any of you listening, if you're feeling discouraged or FOMO or whatever that is, just take a breath and recognize and say, yeah, that is frustrating. Acknowledge it. And then say, what would my future self tell me? What would she want for me now? What's going to be the best thing moving forward for me? I love that. I'm probably going to use that today. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me. Would you go ahead and tell everybody where to find you? Yes. Okay, so if you go on my Instagram, it's Dara, DARA _ Thomason, TOMASSON. And I would love you to follow me there because I'm taking an Instagram class. And so I'm working on my Instagram strategy. So you can go there, you can give me your feedback, and we can build our community over there. I also have a website, darathomason.com. And then my podcast is amazing. It's called Love Yourself In. It's ranked in the top 2% of all podcasts. It's amazing. You can find so many tools to help untangle all those thoughts that just keep swirling around in your head. Excellent. Thank you. All right. It was so great to talk to you, Tori. Bye.
I'm Tori here on the floor at H&H, and I'm here with TJ. So I'm going to let TJ introduce herself and tell her a little bit about her and her business.
Thank you, Tori. So my name is TJ of TJ Wright Quilts. I am an art quilt pattern designer. I currently design for Hoffman Fabrics and do demonstrations and content creation for Valdani threads.
Sounds awesome. So we're going to do our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what color do you struggle with including in your quilts?
I kind of like all the colors. Pink. I'm going to say pink.
Pink, that's a new one. That's interesting. Okay, our next one is, do you prefer yardage or precuts?
I'm a yardage girl for sure.
That's awesome. And then what is your favorite notion?
I have to say my favorite notion is the stiletto tool by Patterns by Annie. And that thing is amazing and has saved me so many times at the sewing machine.
I love that you shared that. We just had an interview with Annie and she said the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So our next question is, how many, so I've been asking this for who have booths, but you don't have any booths. So did you bring any quilts with you or anything quilted?
Yes. Yes, I did. I didn't bring, I brought examples for the Valdani booth of different types of thread work that has been on display, which has been awesome. And then 2 of my quilts are featured in the Hoffman quilt booth or the Hoffman fabric booth. So that was an honor to actually make it on the wall with my art quilts.
That's amazing. Next question is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
I believe you come up with a concept for a pattern and then you write the pattern, you edit the pattern multiple times, and then to actually see a person execute what you created. I just love that part of it. And that somebody wanted to do it. So that makes my heart swell.
That's a beautiful answer. Almost last one. So second to last one.
Okay.
What piece of advice would you give someone attending a show like H&H?
I would say definitely bring a postcard with a little elevator pitch on it. What you like to do, it gives you the opportunity to hand something to someone, possibly have a QR code linked to a lookbook. That's what I did last year, and so many doors have been open for me. And this year, I didn't pass out postcards because I have so much on my plate right now that I felt I would be overcommitting if I was asking for new work.
Wow. That is an amazing piece of advice. And lastly, who is inspiring you right now? This can be somebody in the quilting universe or outside of it.
You're going to be really surprised by this, but I love to watch documentaries about people in other industries and what was the mindset that was for them to get to the level that they were at. And right now, I have watched it twice, but I love the documentary series about David Beckham. So much drive and determination and stick-to-itiveness and kindness, all from a place of kindness. I just think the guy is terrific, and I just took so much away from that.
Oh, that is unexpected, but a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So to end our interview today, would you go ahead and share where people can follow up with you and see more from you?
So on the social platforms, I'm at TJ Wright Quilts. I have a website, tjwrightquilts.com. I specialize in quilt pattern writing, and I have booklets and PDF downloads available there for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a great discussion.
Tori, it sounds like you had so much fun at H&H Americas. I am definitely putting it on my calendar for next year, so we can plan ahead for that. What was it like being at a big trade show like that and trying to promote your business with all these big names?
Yeah, it was really fun. It was a bit the first day I was intimidated for about half the day. I had to take some time. I went and sat down. I was like, look, you can do this. I had to kind of give myself a pep talk, but it was amazing. It was inspiring. Like a lot of people say the same things where it's energizing and there's so many ideas floating around, but you're also talking to so many different people doing so many different things, and your mind is going with ideas of, can we work together? How can I help you? How can you help me? And it's all this great networking where everyone wants to help everyone, and it was a great environment. It was a great show.
Yeah, I'm excited for opportunities coming up for the rest of 2024 and into 2025. So that's exciting. Um, I thought it was really fun and just an interesting thread that came up over and over again. Everybody recommended wearing good shoes. So
Yeah.
did you see just people in sneakers? What was kind of the dress code that you saw?
I saw a range of dress code. You had people in business suits. I saw representatives from like big box stores like Joann's and Hobby Lobby walking around in suits. I saw people mainly in more comfortable clothes that were slightly dressier than jeans.
Mhm.
And many people wore handmade stuff, and that was really cool. I mean, talking like bags, shoes, pants, dresses, skirts, shirts, or theme shirts like I did. I wore theme shirts the whole time.
Mhm.
So it was more laid back than I anticipated, but yeah, the shoes on everyone's feet were comfortable shoes. I did not see a pair of heels. I barely saw any boots. But yeah, they were all comfy shoes.
Yep. Yep. I have my Brooks running shoes, but we should probably get some recommendations from people before we go to a big show next time. Um, so another big takeaway that I heard from your rapid fire interviews was the inspiration that people are finding outside of just, fabric and the quilting world. We heard that people are inspired by the cosplay movement, so more garment and individualizing your clothing, botanical gardens, so getting out in nature, and then just observing your world with I think it was Heather that was saying she's inspired by graffiti on like trains and places in her city. So I thought that was really interesting and just a good reminder to always be open to your environment, and it will show up in surprising ways.
That's very true. I
What
think
was your big takeaway from those interviews?
Yeah, I think some of my big takeaways were that everyone struggles with a color, which I thought was really fun. I mean, not really fun, but like Annie said black. A few of our guests said brown. So
Mm-hmm.
those were really interesting to hear. Some of the neutrals were thrown in there. And then I believe it was Dara who said purple.
Mm-hmm.
Which that I think that was a new one. I don't think we've heard anybody struggle with purple before. So that's really, I think it's eye-opening as pattern designers and quilters, crafters who play with fabric. Like there are colors that people struggle with including in their bags, in their quilts. And I love that question. I'm so glad we threw that in there. And then the other big takeaway was everyone talked about prepping, whether it was yourself or your plan, but always prep for these kinds of shows because you're going to be walking a lot, you're going to be talking a lot, you'll forget to eat. I think everybody at one point forgot to eat. But every moment of that show, we were networking, we were talking, we were sharing ideas, we were having a lot of fun, and it takes a lot of energy to make sure that you plan ahead of time with everything to make sure that you can last the whole time you're there and really bring your A game for an event like that.
Yeah, that is always a good reminder that things work out much better when you have a plan. And I'm just so thrilled that you were able to be there in person and experience that and make all these great connections that I am looking forward to hearing more from the people that you were able to talk to. And we need to keep those connections going, and we want to make sure everybody finds a little more time for some quilting on the side.
Yes, and can I do one more shout out for our guests? So thank you to all 7 of our interview guests for taking time out of your busy show to speak with us and do a quick interview for the Quilting on the Side podcast.
Yeah, and for our audience, remember, we can reach more people if you help us out with reviews. So take a minute on your podcast platform or on our website to leave comments and reviews. We so appreciate every single one of you who has reached out, and we hope to continue this for a long time. So have a great day. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel. And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.